I'm here with Arindam Das. He's the regional head of HSBC Securities Services for the Middle East and North Africa. Arindam, we were just talking about the economic outlook in the Middle East. Now, normally when you get economic growth, you would expect to see an impact on the capital markets. I mean, how does that translate in the context of the Gulf?
I think there is correlation between the economy and the capital markets, but the linkages are not always as strong as we would like them to be. It obviously relates to the number of companies that are listed and whether all the sectors of the economy are adequately represented in the stock markets, which is not always the case. So while there is a correlation, it's not as strong a correlation as you would see in the developed markets or even in the emerging markets.
And how would you expect that to develop in the future? Now, partly that's probably due to the family nature of many of the Gulf businesses. And we normally expect to see them expanding and kind of, listing in the normal way as we go forward. Is that what you're going to see in the Gulf?
Certainly. I mean, the expectation is that we would see more listings, more IPOs. And yes, one of them would come from the family-owned companies, which should go public, because what global research has shown is that beyond the third generation, family-owned companies do not continue the way they were when this just started off. So there is no reason to believe that the Middle East would be any different, and some of the larger family-owned companies which are diversifying now should consciously think of getting themselves listed. But the other stream from which we expect listings is the government. There are very strong government-owned companies who should now, some of them should now look at listing.
Okay, now if that process does go ahead as we expect, I mean, what sorts of services with your HSBC Securities Services hat on can you offer companies and investors?
The main service that we offer as part of HSBC Securities Services is custody and fund administration, which means that if foreign institutional investors invest into the Middle East markets, we offer them custody and clearing, which is basically all services after the trade. So you do your trade through a local broker. After that, the clearing and the settlement and the subsequent sub-custody of the asset to the entire life cycle of the asset till you sell it off is provided by HSBC.
Okay, and we expect the capital markets to grow. I mean, but let's break it down a bit. I mean, are you going to see the development of an equity culture in the Gulf, or more of a debt culture?
Let me take it one at a time. Let's talk about equities. I think the amount of development that we've seen in the equities market is significant. So if I go back to, let's say, 2005, there was hardly any foreign institutional investor actually investing in the Gulf countries. So we had seen some of them opening accounts through us because we were the only custodian there at that point of time. But that interest was not translating into actual investment. This changed significantly during 2007 and 2008, partly because of notions like the decoupling, partly because of, there was a theory that the Middle East currencies might actually get depegged from the dollar. So because of various reasons, but money from the foreign institutional investors flocked into the Middle East. That euphoria has possibly died down after the global financial crisis. But even today, if we look at our assets under custody or the number of transactions that we handle, is a far cry from what it was in the early days of 2004 or 2005. So in terms of the structure of the investors who invest in the Middle East today, it's hugely different. If earlier it was 1% institutional, 99% retail, it might be 25% institutional, 75% retail today. So it's still largely retail, but the institutional component has grown manifold.
Okay, Arindam, well, thank you very much for describing the capital markets development in the Middle East. And in the next chapter, we're going to look at specifically what services are available for companies.